Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Steinkamp,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Wallman,
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Note that Jensen
We're
is
gonna start out
absent.
with, we're gonna start about with the resignation of Mayor John. Unless you guys wanna stick around for the budget. We're gonna be doing some budget.
Taking comments from the public?
Comment.
It's not on the agenda to do that.
Seriously?
You know the open comments before the meeting?
We've never scheduled one for when we had the, budget. But, I'd like to personally thank John and Lori both. They've been a pillar of great distinction of helping out, doing different things, being in a leadership role, of all the product, or all the improvements that this town has had. And again, the mayor has done a great job and continues to do. Hopefully he'll continue to help out with other things that go on with the council, with the city, and giving us ideas and stuff like that, so.
Jim, this stuff, you don't say it.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
I'll say if you don't want
Can I make just a
Make it.
appreciation comment for John? Can we, is that okay with you guys? Okay. I'll be really brief. I know that's hard to imagine coming from me, but I will be. There was a kind of a surprise to the community that John was resigning, and as you can imagine, gossip and all kinds of stuff going around. But immediately there was kind of an outpouring of things, surprise, and then when they found out John's resigning, just appreciation, wanted to thank him for his years of service. And I got some text today I'm going to share with you briefly, and then one brief comment after that. This one is from Catman. He said, I didn't know he was going to resign. I'm in Texas on vacation, can't make the meeting, but he has done some wonderful things for Lakeview and Sac County. And then there was one from Colleen Steinkamp. I won't read because she might be embarrassed and I get in trouble with the acting mayor at the moment. But there's one from Beth Nath. Beth Nath, as you know, is bashful. She's sitting here, but I'm going to read what she said. John, I'm very sad because John has done so much for our town and the county. Here's one from Andrew Phillips, his wife Kirsten. As you know, they've got Rustic River Winery, and pretty soon they're going to have a wonderful business downtown Lakeview for us. He said, wish we could be there. We are in Mexico. I love what he's done for our town. There's one from Rutherford. I can't be there tonight. I'd like to, but I have always said I want to show my appreciation for the things he's done for our town. That was just some comments. I'm just going to make a brief comment myself. We moved here 15 years ago, my wife and I, to Lakeview, and as soon as I got here, I appreciated right away. I've been on the fire department and a few other things in Carroll for many years. I appreciated what this little town was getting done. Realized quickly that it was a lot of volunteers. You know, small town, small budgets, they can't do a lot of things that you want done. The volunteers were getting it done. And I started to volunteer. The first thing I did was with the Lake Association. And another comment I'm going to share tonight from Wes Niles, a friend of mine who's the president of the Lakeview Protective Association. He said, working with John Westergaard on the many things we had to do, you know, the good things we've done for our lake over the years, is he just really appreciates the cooperation he got and that John would give to the state, and when we were working with the county and then the Protective Association and the city council. Very grateful for that, and he wanted John to know that. I'm really kind of frustrated tonight that John's not here, sitting here to hear this. And I understand if he's resigned, and he's done, and that's okay, but I still want to share these things. And I wanted the newspaper to know that we're here just to say thank you to John, is all it amounts to, and myself, and then I also worked with the Lakeview Foundation. Again, having to be around John and work with him on different projects. And what I found out about working with that guy, and I've worked with the people in Carroll and city government a little bit over the years too, working with John Westergaard, when he said, well, we're gonna do something, it wasn't always just going to meetings or making phone calls or flapping your jaw. Sometimes it was real work that made your back sore. I've never seen anybody do that kind of stuff, small town, so I appreciate him a whole lot for what he's done, and I want that to be public. And these people here tonight are all here for the same reason, and they wish John was here to see this tonight too. But what I'm gonna kind of say is, and I'm gonna go sit down, but I want everybody here to just smile as if John was here and raise your hand if you're grateful for all he did.
Stand up.
Whitey, can you spoke. I just hope we get another opportunity, not just for tonight, to show appreciation for John
Yes.
down the road, to make an official appreciation deal for him or something. We'll check with him and.
We will, there's an event in the planning, so.
Okay.
Great.
We hope that you all could be there and then some. So we thank you very much for the support that.
We'll have more notice, so lots of us more will be there.
Yes, I will make sure.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much, and I hope he really, I hope he sees this online and sees everybody that showed up tonight.
I'd like to be recognized.
Oh, hi Vicki.
Go ahead, Vicki.
Can you hear?
Yep, yep.
I just want to say, I'm sure it's going to be on deaf ears, but I wish if the council has any options tonight to not accept this resignation. I felt like it was made under duress, and I just think things could be different. John is an elected official, as is the council. Others not so much. Others are hired employees and whatever. I just feel like I've always said to people, you might not always like anything John says, but you're gonna like what he does. And does he make mistakes? Yes, he does. Has he been the reason that this community is enjoying the wealth and the progress? He is the reason. He has led the charge on everything. And I think it's a shame to lose someone of that caliber. So I hope it will be reconsidered.
All right, thank you, Vicki. Well, we'll move on to the budget.
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
Sure you guys don't want to stay?
Is the public comment over?
They didn't even
Did they vote? They don't have to.
Is there no public comment period?
No, they'll discuss the next procedures.
Well,
Because it's a budget
because
hearing.
it's a budget.
It's a budget work session is what we're here for.
Because it's a budget workshop.
Yep. So if you want to stay and listen to the budget work session.
I'll read that in the paper. Thank you for printing it, that's great.
Hey guys.
Like to hear that stuff.
All right.
I guess I'm leaving the rest of it now.
Teresa, you wanna get us started on this?
Thanks for the job, Jesse.
Oh, you wanna?
Yeah, let's go ahead and, so, some of the things that I wanted to go over with you tonight, before next week is kind of where you want the levy to go ahead and sit. I have given you a couple of different options as far as, so I've given you several pages, and one of them would be the, last year's budget. And where, I've highlighted where your current levy sits, so, where it was in the general fund of what we received in revenue at the 646, and then the various levies throughout the page, and then where you ended up was 868,306 last year. So this year, in order to get to the same exact revenues that you received last year, because our growth, in fact, actually the valuation went down. In order to get back to get to the same amount of dollars that you had last year, you notice that from the general levy fund, would change from 646 to 656. And then, there's a few variations, like line number, let's see, it's, if you go down, it's actually, if you're looking at the column, it's number 14. So 50,000 for liability, property and self-insurance. That would go from 0.446 to 0.453 to get to the same amount. And then, let's see, your ag land, that's a given, but that actually went up just a little bit, based on the same levy numbers from last year, so your ag land valuation actually went up a little. And then the other employee benefits, then that we had done last year for the police benefits, that would go from a 1.07206 to 1.08839. You would have just a little bit of a change in your debt service levy, and that's just due to, everything in the new bond was gonna be taken out, one from the general fund, two, the street sweeper is actually, there's a small amount between that 82 and that 95, based off of all of your other bonding, which I have on the back page of this page of all of your debt. So, I had taken the street sweeper and I left that into debt service just because our road use tax dollars are kind of minimal and we've kind of maxed out that budget. So that's the one I did add to your debt service, was the street sweeper. But other than that, then the Highway 175, that's gonna come out of TIF. So, I think on the back page there, all of the debt, so between the three, because I had to list them 3 separate ways, what you would be putting into the debt service levy is what, 369,000, what about a little over, not quite 12,000, I think there. So that would get you to an overall levy this year of $892, which is what, I think that's about 24 cents difference between what you had last year and this year. That's with basically staying absolutely with the same number of amount of revenue that we brought in last year. Okay?
897, you said?
Yeah, you went from 868, this would be 892. This is the 892 page at the bottom.
That's raising our levy 24 cents.
Yes, overall, yes, yeah, overall, to get to the same revenues that you had last year.
Okay.
Okay? So I did give you scenarios if you were to increase it, just the general fund levy, everything else is gonna, kind of stay the same, but if you were to increase the general fund levy another 5 cents, so that would be at 662 instead of 646, so that would be about an additional 5 cents off of the 656. So now you're getting you're at 15 cents on the general levy, on the general fund levy. Does that make sense? So your overall levy then, and you're only getting what, you're getting not quite an additional $7,000 on your revenue side. You're going from 723, 779 to 730,000. And that would get you to an overall levy of 897. And the impact is on the second page, and you guys can look at that. How it goes across on $100,000 of valuation between the two of what it would in percent change. It's small, but to some it might look bigger. I mean, the overall amount that you're getting into that increased levy. And then you guys had also asked me to say, okay, what would it do, what would it look like if we increased it 20 cents? I don't know that you wanna necessarily go that far. I think we can make the budget fit into, either at least what we had last year or into the 15 cents. But you wanted me to look at what would it look like. You aren't actually gaining that much more in overall dollars in revenue. You're going from 723, 779, what we currently have, to 735. So you're basically getting another $12,000 in general fund revenue. But also realizing that we have a significant amount of increase in police wages because of the union, And also, there's a little bit of wage increase for the library, but their budget stayed the same. And then you're also probably looking at a small wage increase down at the campground, which is not large, but all of your expenses have kind of, gone up from that too. So just a thought process of kind of where you would like me to have the levy set for you guys next Monday, because that will be something you guys will be deciding on. We can't go down, we can't go up, we can go down. So whatever you set it next Monday to is what you guys are gonna be working with going forward. We can change a lot of different things after that, other than the levy. Alright?
So what you're saying is this one right here, this 89,
Yep,
eight-
yep, 892,
okay, so we got 892.
Yep.
But then we have this one is the 15 cents.
that's the 15 cents,
And
yes. And then the 20 cents is the 902,
Right.
so,
So you think that, as our budget sits right now, that would be sufficient to cover most everything?
I hope so. we'll make it fit. At the end of the day, that's what our job is.
Okay.
Can you explain to me?
What's the next one down, Teresa, where it starts at 667 and gets to 9.02?
Okay, so the 667, that's your general levy, that's your levy rate. And then when you add all of the other levy rates into that based on the same amount of revenue that we had put in the budget last year for various things, that's where you get to the 902. And there's a little bit of increase on your debt service from, even though, we're only asking for 95,962 and we asked 82,206, that increased your levy by from 0.698, so 60, not quite 70 cents to 81 cents. So that increased your debt service levy by 10 cents. Just to get to that, amount of revenue we need for debt. So that's where you're coming up with where you're getting from your 667 to your 902. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Nope,
It
nope,
does.
nope, that's fine. There's a few other levies in there that get it added into the bottom number, so. So that is something to think about for you guys when I finish up the rest of the budget this week. Or at least trying to get it put together for you so you have a good overall look next week when everybody's here. Then the next pages are what DGR provided to us for project. The first page, you've got a project estimate breakdown of the overall project that we've been working on for a couple of years, trying to get it put together with the improvements for the electric system. You have a couple of different options. You have phase 1A, you have phase 1B, and then you have phase 2, which is the substation improvements. A lot of information to digest in the next few pages. So you have a page that gives you 1A only. You have a page that gives you if we were to do 1A and 1B. And then you have a page if we were to do 1A plus the BCN cable replacement only, which is part of, is that part of 1B? Can't remember if that
That
was,
is phase 1B.
that's phase, okay,
It's
that
the
is
first part of phase 1B.
first one of phase 1B. So it's taking 1A and putting part of 1B together, okay? So, as we go into some of our next pages and we look at some of your electrical rates and where they sit now and where they're gonna have to go in order to do some of these electrical projects. Overall, in fiscal year 26, like if you were just to do 1A only or 1A and, so 1A and BCN, part of that 1B or 1A, you're looking at a minimum just for, to keep, the project alone is looking at a 15% 20% increase in rates in order to meet a debt revenue or a bond schedule for debt.
And that's just in FYI 26 and 27, then it drops.
Right, and then it begins to drop off because of the major, you know, where you were to look at it.
To 4%.
Yes, so then if you were to do 1A and 1B, if you were to decide to do, we wanna do the whole project, let's get it done, then you're looking at, you know, a 20% increase over the next couple of years, and then it falls off, in a sense. They're saying to zero, so it shouldn't be able to manage itself. Okay? Lots more information to digest as you wanna look at it. If you wanna look at historical stuff, it has, Dale likes that stuff, so he can peruse that while he's in Tulsa for part of the week. Then, the next part of the great information provide is, and this isn't anything that you guys have to do now, but you need to look at it as you progress over into the next couple of months and you get to the beginning of July. It's always been recommended that you do a water sewer increase and those kinds of things. Your water is still currently negative. It's not holding its own. Your sewer is currently holding its own, but over the next couple of years, it's gonna start to fall off. That's why I've kept the potential increase for sewer at the 3%, which is what you guys increased it last year. Last year, you guys increased water at 5%. So I've given you, what I did this year was, I also included electric rates. To kind of give you an overview, okay, this is what it would look like if you did this. I've given you several pages. One looks at a 5% water, 3% sewer, changing the base charge, and please, and I'll remind, after looking, and I've also given you what your current ordinance is on electric rates, and I've also given you what Wall Lake, they're close by, what they're charging on electric rates currently, so that you can look at that. Currently, for residential, we are charging a base rate of $15. Your first 1,000 kilowatt hours is 8 cents per kilowatt hour, and anything over that 1,000 kilowatt hours is 6.07 cents. Currently, what Wall Lake is charging, and they've done this in increments, and I would probably recommend you do something, you know, in similar, but you might not be able to do it as many increments. But their new charges of January 1, 2025 is a base rate of $24. And they actually have summer and winter kilowatt charges that they have. Okay, I think that would be difficult for us to do a summer and a winter just because of how our software system is set up. Okay, you know, I think it would be complicated for us to try and go in and do, I don't think the system will allow us to say, if it's this month's charge this, and if it's this month's charge this. I think it would have to be going in and changing a bunch of the rates, and that's just a certain degree of complication. So what they're charging, let's just say, currently all summer long, they charge 9 cents, 0.09122 per kilowatt hour. They don't break it up into 1,000 or over 1,000. In the winter, for the first 1,000 kilowatt hours, they charge that 0.09122. You guys are currently at 0.08, not far off. And then at over 1,000 kilowatt hours, they're charging 0.07122. You guys are at 6.07, so they're a little over a cent ahead. Thought process there. It took them a while to get to this, so if you guys want to incrementally, you know, but also know that if you're going to do an electrical improvement project, you're going to be substantially raising your rates either way. So I gave you several different options here, one on 5%, 3%. This would be actually changing from a base charge of 15 to 24. I don't recommend going that high that fast. The next page is the same thing, but going from 15 to 20 on your base rate. But then all of these is gonna figure you going from your 1,000 kilowatt per hour charge from 8 to 9, and taking your kilowatt per hour over 1,000 from 0.0607 to 0.0698. That's basically 15%. In doing that, I also gave you scenarios of what that would do to people's bills on an average month. If they were, let's say, you know, a user, single, retired, using 2,086 gallons of water per month and 300 kilowatts per hour, which I don't know, they must have everything shut off, is, you know, they would be going from currently paying a $91.19 bill, and that this is without garbage, and then you'd be going to $106.68 bill. Then I also gave you a couple of different scenarios, and these were actual, some of, on the water we used averages, the electrical we actually used what people are using. One user married with children, they use a lot of electricity per month and a lot of water. Their bill would, you know, go from what they're currently paying at $314.21 to $359, and this is without garbage. So I've given you a lot of different information. It's not anything that you guys have to make a decision currently right now. The ordinance does take you a little bit to change, but I've given you several different rate options, especially on the water. If you were to do a 5 or 7.5%, and I even gave you one, you know, and these are different scenarios, just so that you have the information on what it looks like, 10%. Just knowing that we are going to be, you know, we're looking at a water project that would include a brand new well, improvements to your water plants, and over time, something with the water tower. And also knowing that you're gonna, again, have to cover an SRF, you know, an SRF loan, and those are revenue bonds that you're gonna have to increase your rates in order to get those projects done. And those, the water in particular, you guys made it clear that that was a priority for this next year.
So explain to me once more, the state is going to tap our, at 2%, our growth, how's
That bill hasn't gone through, and right now the discussion on that level is only on the sewer. So you guys are, you know, the bill hasn't been passed by any means, it's just been a discussion. I don't even know if it's made it further than committee at this point yet. I know that that was a bill that came out last week. So what their intent or what their thought process is to cap your rates at an increase of 2%. So you couldn't increase your rates any more than 2%. I think they're gonna have a difficult time getting that through because all of the DNR requirements that the state is requiring, and the EPA, that they're requiring small, big, whichever cities to do, and Jason can maybe talk a little bit more on that. Small communities aren't gonna be able to keep at 2% to do the improvements that they've been talking about doing and making the changes to their, wastewater treatment plants or lagoons or whatever that they're having to do. You're fortunate you've got that done. So technically, yeah, you could go back down to 2% and probably, you know, and really just be just fine, you know, and not have any issues. I just know if you just stay, you know, the costs over time keep increasing. So if you stay stagnant on the rates, then we're gonna fall behind. I'd rather see you guys stay just a little bit ahead so that you can continue to do some of the things that we've been doing, like the improvements on the lift stations, and, you know, making sure that, you know, our, you know, the sewer project, the water stormwater project that we did, cause you don't have a separate stormwater utility. So the stormwater project that we did down at the down at the park with the outlet to the lake, so that you can keep continuing to do those small projects and make sure that you're taking care of and doing system maintenance over time. Did I say that okay, Jason?
Yes.
Okay.
Back to this SRF loan, if we raise the rates now, trying to look forward, did you say that we'd automatically have to raise rates again to get this loan?
When you do your loan, SRF will tell you, you have to be at this number by the time, so if it takes us 3 years to do the project, we'll just use that as a number. SRF will say you have to be at this rate come 3 years, no matter what. Whether you do that in 1 increase, 17 increases, 120 increases, doesn't really matter. You can start that process now to where when we get to that final number, we're not dinging the residents with a 40% increase. And I'm making up numbers, so don't hold those numbers. But they tell you, you have to be at this number. And you can start now and start to get to there before we get
there, so it's not one big bang.
correct.
Right, and what they'll look at is, they'll also see that we're still in the negative, we aren't taking care of our, the water fund isn't taking care of itself. That they're, I'm not gonna say that's not gonna look favorably on us, but they also look at where are you at now, and the idea that you're already in the red, they aren't gonna allow you, they want that revenue bond to be paid, so that's gonna be their priority, and then we'll have to, do everything else. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of recommending, I don't wanna say large jumps, but I'm kinda saying large jumps here, just because knowing where you're going to have to probably end up in order to get some of these projects done. $1 million is, yeah, you can do that on a 35-year loan, but what's that gonna look like over time and wanting to get that paid? So, and plus also try and do your current system maintenance, making sure everything's taken care of, all of that, so.
How old is our water plant? 25?
The original plant was built in 1993 with an upgrade in 2003 when the well that's on the Sauk Trail was added, and that's when the aerator and the TCE was discovered.
So 20 years.
So, any questions pertaining to any of this?
Want to decipher it?
Okay, the only other thing that I do need you guys to decide tonight, is I will have the budget amendment information for you, but I need to have, so I can get it published this week, so it'll meet the timeline, so I can get that completed before I leave. I need to just have you guys set a date, which would be, I think, what is that, the 21st of March? No.
The Friday.
No, the 17th. I need you to set it for the 7th, that Monday before, the 17th. I need to have you guys, set the public hearing date for a budget amendment so that I can get that done, because I need to make it a budget amendment for the community center and a couple other things that we've done that just weren't in. I just gotta account for the expenditure side of it. You're not changing the levy, you're just changing the expenditures so that we can account for the projects that we've done up to this date that weren't originally in the budget.
So need a motion on that?
Yes, I do need a motion on that, please.
Have a motion on setting the date for the 17th of March for a public hearing?
So move.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Yeah.
second it then.
Okay.
Alrighty, Beckman,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Stankham.
Yes. All right. Is there anything else we need to?
You have all of the information to consume and go over. You don't have that page? I will get you that page. I will make sure.
And then, Teresa, for the file of the budget, on that general levy, if we go to the max, we can still lower it, correct?
Yes.
Did I hear you say that correctly?
Yes, you just have to, what we have to do next Monday is we have to set what your maximum levy is going to be. That's why I gave you several different options. That you can go lower, once it finals, after we, we get through the rest of March and we do when you get to your budget hearing, that's when you have to have that determined. But you can go lower, you just can't go higher after next Monday.
Gotcha.
Well, that's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, this is what you set for your max levy is the one that gets published, goes out, the county auditor has to send out that publication that we have to do now. That's why it has to be done and it has to be sent, so the county auditor has it by the 5th. They have until, I think, the 18th of March to get it out to the public, so they have to send it out to everybody on the assessor rolls. And then, you can start having your public hearing after March 20th, and I think I have ours set for April, I think that first meeting in April that you guys will set that. So, or you guys will do that, and then the public hearing for the budget, I think, is set for the second meeting in April, and then somebody will just have to certify it to the state after that.
Okay.
But it will all be complete for you guys before I go,
Perfect.
so.
Anything else?
We gotta accept this resignation, don't we?
No,
No.
we do not.
That's been all done.
That's been all done.
So, that's all I have. Anybody else have questions?
No,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
meeting adjourned.
Like I said, they were gonna second.